Morning, Zoe.
Hi guys. Oh, hi for everyone that's tuned in. We've got a few people watching already. So this morning I'm speaking to this beautiful lady, Theresa Dutoit. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
That's good enough.
I will let Theresa introduce herself to you. But today we're going to be chatting about how to block out all the noise around you. We're always going to have challenges and stresses in life. But it's how do we block that out so we can remain calm, focused, and still get stuff done. This lady has got a lot of insight and a lot of life experience, and she really walks her talk. She'll probably share with you some of her story. We're not going to go into too much detail here because I have done a podcast with Theresa, and that's the longer version. So if you like what you hear today, pop over to my podcast app, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify on my page, and check out the full podcast. So welcome to the live stream today, Theresa.
Morning, Zoe. Thank you so much. I am so excited to share some time with you this morning and have a really good chat.
Thank you. I get very, your excitement is contagious. I have to say that. It's so contagious. I love it when I talk to you and you're always kind of very happy, very excited about life and it really, really is contagious. So will you tell the people watching today, will you share with them who are you and what do you do?
I would gladly do that. My name is Theresa Dutoit, as Zoe has mentioned. I'm South African, and a few days ago, it was exactly 12 years ago that I flew into Dubai. And the funny thing was when I arrived that morning, as I looked through the window of the aircraft as we were coming into land, and I saw, the skyline of Dubai and lots of dust and sand, I had the feeling in my heart that I'd come home. So it was a really, really great arrival. And I must say, when I think of Dubai, if I'm away somewhere, I always say I'm going home. So for me, Dubai is home. And for my kids, home is where mom is, and home for them is Dubai, because that's where I am. And what do I do here in Dubai? I've done a whole lot of things, but I've discovered over time that it's so important that you follow your passion, because I do believe every one of us has been gifted with different gifts and talents. And we're supposed to. Our careers and our jobs that we do, our natural gifts should be able to flow out naturally in the work, in the careers, the jobs that we do. I am passionate about marriage. I love, 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 love marriage. And so I have the wonderful joy of conducting wedding ceremonies as a wedding celebrant here in the UAE. But not only here, I call myself an international destination wedding celebrant. And I have done weddings in Bahrain, in Sri Lanka, South Africa, and then later this year in October, I will be conducting a wedding for a couple from Dubai, but in Tbilisi, Georgia. So I have many talents, and so in the sense that there's a few things that I do. So the one hat I wear is wedding celebrant. The other thing that I love doing is as a public speaker, because I have a story to share, and I think that every one of us has a story to share, and it's about understanding who you are, getting through all the things that you traumas, whatever it is, but that life always is to be celebrated, because I really believe that. So I like to use my story to encourage others.
Would you share a little bit of your story with the audience today?
Condensed version. Yeah, okay, condensed version. I married my varsity sweetheart when I was 20, we had 30 great years together. It was a fantastic marriage. We have 3 kids from the marriage. And it was a wonderful life together, because as we were married, the more years we were married, our love for each other grew stronger and more deeper. So I truly had a fantastic marriage. And then my husband was diagnosed with tongue cancer. Up until then, I never knew you could get tongue cancer, but it was devastating. So he went through a massive operation. His tongue was removed. He spoke like somebody who had a speech impairment. From being an introvert turned to an extrovert. For a year, he was clean and perfect, and then it started in the soft tissue of his mouth, so much so that it ate a hole in his face. I could stick my fist in here, and 18 months from diagnosis to everything, he passed away. So I was on my own for 4 years, then moved to Dubai, and 4 years later, I met I always say, a sexy man of God through friends. And he was a guy I swore I never, ever, ever want to get married again. And 6 weeks into our friendship relationship, said to me, I was hit by a tsunami. I've fallen in love with you. I want to marry you, take care of you. And of course, the feeling was mutual. And so we got married, and it was a wonderful marriage because it was a different season of our lives. No kids in the house. Our kids are all adults living all over the world. And for 2 years and 4 months, we had the most amazing marriage. And he would tell me every day, I never knew marriage could be so fantastic. And we were hoping for 20 years together. And then what happened, one fateful morning, 25th of May, 2015, he went quad biking with a dear friend of his early morning. Long story short, he died in the desert. He stepped off his bike when it got stuck in the sand, and he dropped dead from a heart attack. So it was instantaneous. When I got the phone call, my heart shattered into a million pieces. I was absolutely devastated and heartbroken. And it took a year for me to work through all the mourning and the grieving and the heartache and everything through all of that. But I knew that out of this good will come. You know, I know God's not the one who says, I'm going to hit you with this so that you can learn something. I do know that he's able to bring good out of whatever it is that we go through. And about a year later, after I'd gone through all the mourning, I felt that there was stuff inside of me that I needed to share. And that was the start of the new season of my life, becoming a celebrant, a speaker, and a hospitality consultant training, because I've always loved hospitality. So yeah, that's the brief version.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. You really have been through so much, and the way that you've coped with that, and you've kind of in a way you found your purpose, because you have so much passion over what you do, and it really exudes out of you. You're very much in love with love. And I think a lot of people that have maybe experienced what you have been through would find it quite challenging to get through to the other side. But you've managed to do that. And I know we've experienced some quite difficult times of late, again, with the whole coronavirus. And I know yourself personally, your business has been affected by that tremendously. How have you been coping with this situation, and what have you been doing to get you through these, what some would describe as challenging times?
Okay, I tell you what I did. I made the decision right from the start. Well, first of all, I did take one massive blow, because I did my last wedding in February, and I had weddings lined up for March and for April, and all of those were postponed and put onto the back burner for whenever. And of course, that was a massive blow. And it took me like a day or two to think, oh crap, what's happened? It's like you feel like you were hit by a bomb. And then I decided, okay, this is what's happened. And I have one of two things that I can do. Either I can get taken up in this whole drama of, all the fear and the everything, and what are we going to do? Or I can decide, you know what, I'm looking at this from a different point of view. So I decided, I'm going to look at this whole situation as an opportunity of endless possibilities. And where I live on the 8th floor of a building. There's no high buildings in front of me. I truly see the whole of Dubai skyline. So every day, I have an unlimited view. So every day when I look out It's a reminder, constant reminder, that God created us limitless. There are limitless opportunities out there. And that's the thing that I really believe in. So this whole period of lockdown and everything that's gone on with it has actually been a really tremendous time for me. It's been a time where I have focused a lot of my mindset, because I think mindset is extremely important, but not just in the sense of, okay, positive thinking, I can do this, but understanding how my brain works, how our thoughts work, and the importance of making very sure that I always have, or most of the times, have a positive mindset. So I do like to meditate in the mornings, and I talk to God in that time. And so I've come to understand also that we have a limitless future, in the sense that we can create what we really desire. And so I put it out there that I know my business is fantastic. I speak life over my business, over my celebrancy business, speaking engagements, hospitality consultancy. So I choose to really speak life into my business every single day. And I do it not with an anxiety thinking, oh crap, I hope this works. But you know what? How fantastic that I can speak life over my business, and I can create the future that I really and truly want. And that is the future that is what I want. And the same way is that every one of us has a fantastic future ahead of us, because God says he's got amazing plans for us. So why not buy into that? And so I buy into that completely, knowing that there's an incredible future. Doesn't matter what is happening around us. We can become elevated above that. So yeah, I find this actually very exciting. And I really have come to fallen in love with the unknown. Not knowing how something is going to pan out, not knowing how will it unfold. But there's such an excitement in accepting and embracing that, because you know what? It's a wonderful surprise. So it's been an incredible journey so far.
How do you begin to trust the unknown? How do you think it's trust?
Well, number one, it's a learning curve, and it's a journey, and it means that some days might be easier than others. But the complete understanding of, you know what, I know, I now know and understand how my mind works, and how thoughts work, and how emotions and thoughts are connected. So if we're thinking negative thoughts, the emotions that's going to come with that are going to be emotions of anxiety and stress. So it's, number one, very important to understand that. When you understand that, you can then make a decision. Okay, all right, this doesn't serve me. And also, I've become very aware of the words that I use. People talk about, you got to hustle to make money. And if you think of the word hustle, I mean, it's a word that people throw around all over. But when you think about what's the emotion that comes up when you use the word hustle, it's, I've got to do something, I've got to get all anxious. And what if I don't hustle enough? And so I've decided to become far more aware of the words that I use. So I choose to use words like, instead of hustle, I'm aligning myself with that which is out there to serve me. And by doing that, immediately there's a sense of peace. There's a sense of wonder. I wonder how it's going to work out. I'm excited to see, how is this going to pan out? Because that's where the beauty lies, is in the unknown. And we've been geared and programmed to, you've got to know the outcome. You've got to understand, if you do this, then this is going to happen. And if you don't do this, then that's going to happen. All good and well. But if all of that is connected to anxiety and stress, nothing's going to change. So now, but for me, embracing the unknown, I don't know how it's going to unfold, but I choose to believe that it's going to unfold amazingly, spectacularly, wonderful, and awesome. So if I have a choice between anxious and fearful, and what the hell am I going to do? And you know what? There's going to be an amazing outcome. I rather choose that.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
100%. 100%. You and I share a love for, and I only discovered this yesterday when we were chatting, for Dr. Joe Dispenza. And
oh yeah,
when I hear you speak, I can hear that his teachings have had an influence on how you project yourself. And one thing that he does say a lot is that you've got to do the work. So if there's anyone listening to this that is maybe struggling right now or isn't where they want to be, you know, and it's not just a case of, you know, maybe meditating once. You've really got to commit to this, and you've got to kind of do the work, and you've got to trust the process. And I think I shared with you yesterday, I mean, I've been following Dr. Joe for over a year now, and I attended one of his 7-day retreats.
fantastic.
For those that don't know, who are listening to this, Dr. Joe Dispenza is a neuroscientist, and he is, it's just, his work is absolutely incredible about how our thoughts affect our reality. And his meditations are really out of this world. For the last few months, I haven't been doing his meditations as consistently for the last couple of months because, you know, like the title of this is How to Block Out All the Noise. I've had a lot of noise, and, you know, whilst I know I've got to do the work, it's challenging to block out that noise sometime. Last night, I had the best night's sleep ever, because I listened to my meditation before I went to sleep.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've been doing this for kind of like months, for a long time, and it was so easy at that point. And it makes you realize that when you're not doing it consistently, how easy it is when you do it. It just takes, it's like anything in life, it just takes practice. You don't know how to ride a bike, you just practice and you get better and better. And it's exactly the same with meditation. And I did struggle, but I'm telling you, like, I just kind of realized that my body subconsciously, and this is coming from someone who's pretty aware, but my body subconsciously, I was just kind of, I've been operating on the hormones of stress and anxiety.
Yeah, not good.
I had the best night's sleep last night ever.
Yeah.
Dr. Joe famously says there's no such thing as a bad meditation. So even if you sat there in your meditation and you can't focus, and, you know, you're thinking of maybe things that you shouldn't, it's not a bad meditation, because each practice is going to get you to where you want to be.
Yeah. Absolutely. I really thoroughly enjoy Dr. Joe, because for me, the fact that he's a scientist that explains exactly what happens in our brain and how the different parts of our brain interact with each other, and why it's so important to be aware of our thoughts. And for me, I love science, because for me, science declares the glory of God. And when I listen and discover all these things that he talks about, it's like, wow, God, you know, you've really created us fearfully and wonderfully. And since I've been following him and reading his books and listening to his scientific explanations, for me as a believer, I love the Lord, and I am a Christian, but God is very important in my life. So since doing this, the scriptures just mean so much more to me, because now I understand when, for instance, the scripture says, be anxious for nothing. I understand why it was said, and I understand how I can now not be anxious. Whereas previously it would be, oh, don't be anxious, don't be anxious, don't be anxious, don't be anxious. But how can I not be anxious? But now it's when I find, you know, I'm getting anxious, and I say to myself, okay, hold on a second. This is not a good place for me to be right now. So what's happening in my mind right now? And then change that, because to move from survival, out of that survival mode, because then you can't think creatively. So for me, I really have discovered the scriptures just mean so much more to me, because I understand now, because God operates in the quantum field. God is unseen, and he operates in that quantum field, but he's put all of these amazing laws into place about quantum and about faith, because faith, there's a wonderful scripture that says faith is the substance of things hoped for, the things not yet seen. And now that scripture really means so much to me, and I understand how that works now. Whereas in the past, I would think, okay, do I have enough faith? What if I don't have enough faith? Well, I know I have enough faith. Now in the quantum, I understand, I know now. And it's just so different. So it's an amazing, amazing journey.
I love it that you're making that connection between the quantum field and your faith and your relationship with God.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the year, I attended the 7-day retreat with Dr. Joe. And it was also a period of my life where I was exploring my faith a lot more, and I was exploring my own personal relationship with God, and I got very confused. I don't want to go into it in too much detail, but I kind of received a message from a very good friend of mine who I love dearly, who's a Christian, about one of my social media posts, and that kind of made me question everything I was doing, and I was really, really confused. And I remember at the beginning of the year, I was in India, and I was there's a very good friend of mine. I hope she's watching this, Janice. She was staying at the clinic, and she's been going every year. She's a good friend of mine, and she's also she loves Jesus, absolutely loves Jesus, and she also loves Dr. Joe. And I remember just knocking on a door and saying, I'm really confused, and I really need some advice, or I need to talk to you. I said, I'm going to see Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I was so happy about it, so happy, and then I'm exploring my relationship with Jesus and everything, and I'm getting really confused because I'm getting all these conflicting opinions, and she pretty much just said what you said, and this is a lady that's had a long-standing love with the church, and it's not just something she's developed over the last couple of years, and so different Christians have different perspectives, and some Christians come from a place of judgment, even though they shouldn't. A lot of them do. And
true.
And she said the same as you. When we were on the retreat, and it was really intense, she said it kind of opened up her connection. She felt more connected to God. Through kind of the work that she was doing. And a lot of the time, I think it's like you said, it's science at the end of the day, epigenetics, the way it all works about creating neural pathways in the brain by repetition and by positive thought processes. This is all science. It's not some kind of fake guru out there trying to kind of lead everyone astray. It is, and that's what I love about his work, is that he has introduced a whole new audience to what he does, because he dedicates so much of his time and money into scientific research, into proving kind of his what he does based in science, basically.
I so agree with you. And I've also had friends who said, it's new age and he's a guru and stuff like that. But for me, and I said to them, look, it's science. It's pure science that he's explaining. And science was created by God. So for me, discovering the amazingness with which, the awesomeness with which God has put us together. I mean, he's put in here the most amazing combinations. And I truly stand in awe and wonder. I often say to God when I walk around in my apartment, I just say to him, you know what, God, I am so stunned by you. You are so amazing, because he is. And how wonderful to discover all of this as we go along, because for me, it's really, my relationship with the Lord is really just so intensified. I fall more in love with him every day, because I discover how amazing he is and how incredible his love is. And I know this is not a religious conversation, but it's all tied up because God loves us. He loves every single one of us. And he's created us so amazingly. And he's put us on this beautiful earth, and he wants us to live a life that brings glory to him. And he's made us all so different, with so many different gifts and talents. And as we flow in our gifts and talents, we're actually serving other people. And every one of us has a place in this world that serves others. And isn't it amazing how, if we realize that we're all different, we all can serve people in our giftings, we don't have to be jealous of each other, of anybody else's, because I do believe with all of my heart, every single person has got greatness and genius in them. That is truth. But we've been told that certain people are genius, only certain people can be brilliant, not everyone can be an Elon Musk or a whatever. But greatness and genius has been placed within each one of us. And how fantastic is that?
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And I also think that our life's challenges and struggles, like everything that you've been through to get you where you are today, it was where you were destined to be. So, you know, I mean, the message that, and the truth that you're sharing with the world, and the message that you share with your talks, it helps so many people. And you really do have a gift in that area. And I think that's what can be really challenging for people to understand, is that, you know, their problems are there for a reason, and they are there for the greater good. And I think it's difficult to see that when we're going through it personally, but there is, I don't know if I'm making any sense there.
I understand what you're saying. I tell you, my take on this is that because I know God is a good God, and he says every good and perfect gift comes from him. In other words, if he's love, he's never going to be nasty towards any one of us. But life happens. We live in this world, so things happen to us. But there's a fantastic promise that says that he is able to bring good out of it. Meaning that gives us tremendous hope. So even when we're going through the depths of despair, through the deepest of loss that we can ever imagine, he is able to bring us through that. He didn't cause that to happen, but in his love for us, he lovingly brings us through that, and he turns that around so that our story can become a story of inspiration to somebody else. I have spoken to a few people over the last year who have lost a loved one, you know, a family member, a husband, a brother, and to be able to share with them, you know, so my story of devastation has actually become a story of hope to somebody else, because in the end, that I know God always gives us hope, and we always have a future. And so once again, also it boils down to a choice, Zoe, is that when we're going through something really bad or very traumatic, it sucks at that time. It's absolutely horrendous and awful. But we have a choice. Either we can stay where you are and wallow in that, and that becomes our identity, or we decide, you know what, this has happened, I've got to work through this. And don't try and bury the emotions. Work through all the emotions of this devastation, despair, the anguish, the grieving, the mourning, the shattering, broken heart. Work through all of that, because you come out on the other side and your heart has been healed, and you've got hope for the future again. And that is what God wants us to do. He says he's created us to celebrate life. My life motto has always been celebrate life. And at times it's been very difficult because of the stuff that I've gone through. But if my story can inspire somebody else, and give somebody else hope, then you know what I went through was worth it. I remember the week that Nick died, and we had to go and see a lawyer. It was self and his two kids, and we were coming back on the tram in the marina, and it was just about sunset, and I was we were coming around the bend there at the marina, and I was looking out onto Sheikh Zayed Road, and I saw all the cars, and my heart was breaking, and I tried desperately just to prevent the tears from falling out of my eyes, and I was looking at the scene, and I'm thinking, I've lost the love of my life, but yet the world goes on. Doesn't anybody know of my grief and my pain? And now 5 years later, I look back, and it was a journey. It was a journey, and we have to work through it, because God then takes that and he turns it into a wonderful story. Because when we talk from our hearts, when we share from our hearts, that's what touches people's lives, not some academic, concocted thing that you're trying to share. But when you speak from the heart, that's when it touches somebody else's heart. So yes, I've gone through some really crappy things, but you know what? I've come out on the other side, and I'm embracing life. And you know what? I believe I will get married again to an amazing man who's going to be crazy and nuts about me, who's going to love and adore me, and we're going to have an amazing life together. And together, our life as a married couple will once again be an inspiration to others, who've lost a loved one and think, oh, I can never marry again. Hey, listen, love happens all the time, anytime, 4, 5, 6 times around, whatever. So life, we always have hope, and we should always celebrate life.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Thank you so much. We've been chatting for 32 minutes now. We said 20 minutes here. I really love talking to you. I love your enthusiasm, just the whole celebration of life. And guys, if any of you listening to this would like to listen to the extended version of my chat with Theresa, pop over to iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcast platform and search. I think I can't remember what episode it is, but if you just search through the episodes, you will see it. And Theresa, thank you so much for sharing some of your wisdom with us today, and some of your lights and your energy. You really deserve all the happiness in the world, and I'm sure that that is going to be received into your life. So thank you so much for sharing part of your story again with us today. And I feel like I'm cutting the conversation quite short.
But Zoe, listen, thank you so much for inviting me on. And thank you also for the time that I could share with you. I think you're one amazing young woman as well. And the message, I think, if there's one thing that people should take away from this talk, is that we always have hope. Life is to be celebrated, and embrace life with everything that it has to offer. So thank you so much, my friend. I loved it, and God bless you, my friend.
Yeah, thank you so much, Theresa. Guys, take care. If you've got any value out of this live stream, please like and share with your audience. And I will see you all tomorrow. I'll be talking to Janine. Take care.
Thanks, Zoe. God bless. Bye, everyone.